Welcome, welcome. We continue along on the mine with episode 1 just having been completed and lots to talk about in how it all works. So a second ago, I was talking about the fact that we can replay an episode by just clicking the replay button. And yes, you can go through all the minor little steps, but what's most important is now on the map we see purple stars, not green ones that we usually have, like a swirly green starburst showing the main story and what we're doing, but these purple ones. Now if I head on over to one of them, like say, which one's closest? And you'll notice, by the way, each star is at the entrance of an instance area, but not over here where the whole instance was just the room. Last episode was nothing really but learning and talking to Scarlett. There wasn't really any gameplay, and the reason for that, therefore, they don't need a purple star because there's no extra achievements to go for. Oh my god, I keep getting tangled up in that bush. That's what it feels like to be a Norn. You think you're just wandering around and you'll just blow through stuff and you end up getting stuck. So yeah, let's climb on up beyond the Zephyrite. And you'll notice that episode 1 ended really in the middle of a ton of mysteries. It really didn't resolve anything. It just threw a bunch of stuff in front of us. The Master of Peace, the mysterious object it was holding, what Aaron was doing, what happened with Scarlett. It basically helped us learn a little bit more about the Steam creatures, maybe. Not much more than that. So here, check it out. We go to this instance, and there's a purple version of it just lingering here, just waiting now, always, as long as we have the episode. And it says, would you like to replay for achievements? And when we head on in, we get the same story, but look at my active effects. There are 3 of them here now. There's one called Opportune Moment, and it gives us a little bit of description about sneaking up on the saboteur during the chase. There's one for Dashed Advantage, which is to do the thing with the find the hidden place during the final fight I talked about. And then there's another one, which is to beat the boss without being hit by one of his big attacks, right? So that's what their elite achievements are. ArenaNet will very quickly abandon the idea of elite achievements, and I'm not really planning on showing them off because they're not really elite. This was the problem. I think ArenaNet's format for these achievements was perfect. An initial playthrough where players don't have to focus on anything except the story and their initial experience. You don't have to feel like you're going to fail at something and get gypped out. You don't have to constantly be on split mind about being efficient versus just enjoying yourself. There is no opportunity to get those achievements the first time through. You just experience it. And then afterwards, there's replayability, and they get more playtime out of people as they wait for the next patch. It's a really, really smart format. But what happened was none of the achievements were really that challenging. And so they felt kind of like a chore, and the way that ArenaNet implemented them is you could kind of feel that you could have got it first time, really. Like, you could have just not been hit by the big bomb first time, and now you're just making me replay it again to do it again. So the achievements themselves weren't really designed in a way that felt like the replay part of it needed to be there. And all the community did with this feature was complain that I want to get it first time. I want to get it straight away. This is mine. Why did you lock me out of this? People didn't see the feature for what it really could have been. And so ArenaNet just changed it going forwards to be you can get the achievement first time. And you don't have this really cool, efficient, smart gameplay where it's like beat it the first time in a nice, clean, normal environment, and then the second time in a more challenging one. Really stupid, if you ask me, and just an example of one of those things that ArenaNet almost struck gold with, missed it slightly, and then caved to community whining that weren't thinking deeply, as deeply about the game as the developers should have been. Bit of a shame. Anyway, so there you go. That's the replayability. We also have this box here, Scarlett's box of desert knickknacks, odds and ends Scarlett collected during her time in Drytop. So we can grab that. Open it up. We get a ton of lockpicks, ton of geodes. Basically incentive for us to push through, do more sandstorms. Obviously the meta event, there's a lot going on with the map here. And we also get obsidian shards. Obsidian shards is kind of interesting to give players. I really think that obsidian shards should have stayed as something you get from the Temple of Balthazar. It should have been a specific reason to play ore and do things over there. But the devs going forward just start giving you them all over the place. Again, I guess because the community wanted obsidian shards. So, hey, kind of help you with some legendary crafting if that's what you're going for. Get a dusty bag of loot with lots of piles of silky sand, which when we double click, we can get coarse sand out of, which is one of the new crafting materials. We get a gearbox, a deluxe one with Watchwork sprockets, Season 1 currencies, all kinds of stuff. I'll just deposit this stuff away here. Now, you'll notice, excuse me, over the minimap, I also get a mastery point for Central Tyria here. This is this our first one? Have we got some other ones? No, we already got 9. We got 9, I think, just from playing the main story. So this is now our 10th. This is a meaningless reward, though. ArenaNet never originally had mastery points as a part of the season. They started adding those once the expansions came out. But as I pointed out, if you play the game chronologically, you're not getting masteries yet. You're not spending experience on anything yet. That's pointless. So why they're giving me mastery points here is just free stuff that I have absolutely no idea what it is or why it is. Very poorly implemented. No point to it. I'm just going to grab those as we go through. I wish they didn't do it that way, but they did. So, hey. You know, the mastery points should have been from doing the difficult achievements on repeat playthroughs or something, at least, you know. Or, ideally, not in any content, really, before the expansions came out, unless it was optional content, which is why I say the elite mission thing could have worked. So, anyway, there you go. What I'm going to do here now, as well, is I'm going to say quit the episode, and you will see that it immediately goes back to how it was originally. Everything's done. We have no green message at the top. We only have information about the current meta we're in range of and our dailies. That's it. So we're back to normal. We've completed the game. We wait 14 days. I don't know why I say 17 there. And, well, we get to buy the next patch. So here, check it out. We go to entanglement. And again, it's going to say buy now. So playing in serial, you really do want to be in the end game features to crank out the money. Or spend time, ideally, in the map now. This would be where you do a couple of sandstorms, open some buried locked chests, and try and work your way up. So, yeah, let's go currency exchange, custom, 200 gems, and we will see. It's going to cost me 74 gold this time instead of 71. And we're already at a point where, once we've done this episode, we're going to have to find a way to get a little bit more money. So we'll look at that. There's also the matter of the challenge we're playing. So we've beaten an episode. I have to lose 2 pieces of gear now. What am I going to do? Well, I think I will get rid of... I think I'll get rid of the 2 earrings. Actually, what if we... Yeah, I'll get rid of the 2 earrings. We'll keep hold of our runes for as long as possible. The earrings are a good amount of stats. Actually, I'll get rid of the rings. The rings are worth less. I'm going to get rid of these, all right? That doesn't mean I'm going to delete them, but I am going to salvage them with our journeyman salvage kit here so that I don't accidentally equip them again. We get some mithril. Oh, we get some ecto as well. That's pretty nice. And they're gone. Okay, so we lost the rings. Shouldn't really mean a big deal. We've just lost a little bit of damage. I think I'll show you as well as we move forward here some of the specialization lines we haven't seen yet, such as wilderness survival. So let's pack this in. And let's swap out... I'm going to swap out skirmishing, all right? So we're going to lose spotter, that really cool one for dungeons. Put wilderness survival on instead. So we recover endurance more quickly. We get protection whenever we dodge. We're getting regeneration while we have prop. So basically, a dodge roll gives us prop in combat, which regenerates us. And that we can have protection regeneration and regeneration, which is pretty nice. And our pet's getting it too. Then there's just the mages. I'm going to go the top line for now, and we'll look more at some of these later. So we get Child of Earth, create muddy terrain when we use a heal. So check this out. I have what we heal as 1, which does all of its regular stuff. But now, when I cast it, we splash all this on the ground, which is mobilization, on impact, cripple, and slow afterwards, which is really good. We get ambidexterity, which gives us extra condition damage, and even more if we have a torch or a dagger in our offhand. So I'll bring the dagger back that we had from before, the packed dirk. And what we also can do is cast those skills quicker now. And then finally over here, condition durations are split between us and our pet. So if we run into one of these Mordrum creatures here and he puts torment on me, if he tries to put 5 seconds of torment on me, I'll only get 2.5. And Alsum will get the other 2.5. Pretty nice, right? And then I can pet swap and cleanse, and we'll have Bertolf, and Bertolf won't have any conditions at all, right? So that's pretty good. This is a tanky line. I'll use it a bit here. And then we'll probably leave it for a while until we have to start stripping off our armor. And then we can bring our defense back with wilderness survival. So it should be pretty cool. And yeah, that's all there really is now, except to buy episode 2. Entanglement. Treachery and tragedy led Tyria's heroes on a chase across the frontiers of the Maguma Wastes and landed them at the doorstep of their former adversary. What has Timey been able to learn from investigation, and who's been watching from atop the mesa above Prospect Valley? Well, time has passed. Back at this homestead. I really like this homestead. We came here in search of Romka, right? It just feels very homely to me. I don't know. When I think, where is Ulfric's home? I think it's here. I really want to impress upon you guys that each Living World episode was 14 days apart in real life. And so players would be out on their adventure. Ulfric's been out hunting world bosses, building legendaries, earning money, spend some time in Gyro-Top maybe. But you're out on your adventure, you're exploring Tyria, you're seeing the dynamic events and all the different things that you haven't done before. Time is moving on. Who knows what Timey has been up to on her investigation these past 2 weeks. But we've come home and we've basically been checking out some of our build and been improving some things. So check it out. We obviously are trying out the new Wilderness Survival, which has the condition damage stuff, like with Amber Dexterity. And we get like cover conditions and stuff, I guess, here. So what I'm thinking we can do instead is instead of running the Empathetic Bond Grandmaster, we're not going to be hit with much condition damage. Instead, let's go Poison Master, which is that our poison damage does 25% more damage. Now, that's pretty good. That's a Wilderness Survival thing. And if we bring back Skirmishing here, well, we can take condition damage stuff. We can take Sharpened Edges. We have a chance to cause bleeding. We can make our bleeding do more damage with hidden barbs. And we can take Light on Your Feet. Damage and condition damage are increased after dodging or using Quick Shot, which is a short bow skill. In fact, this Grandmaster is the short bow Grandmaster. Look at this. Short bow skills will now pierce. They'll go through enemies and hit multiple at once. They'll gain recharge reduction. Their attacks from behind or while flanking are even better now. So this is a crazy, crazy trait. Light on Your Feet, short bow. That is the ultimate ranger short bow combo. And we have a pretty interesting bow here. It's from Or. It's called Einbear Finn. And this was somewhere out in Or, I think. You notice it's got condition damage on it as a bow and a Sigil of Earth, which is do bleeding when you crit. So we bleed when we crit from this. We bleed when we crit from this. Also, check it out. We can change the Sikkim to Sharpened Stone, which is we bleed foes with our next few attacks. We can sharpen, our arrows, right? The heads on our arrows, and we can bleed with that too. Not to mention that short bow stuff just does bleeds and does poisons and does all this nasty Condi. So we'll play Condi, basically. That's what I want to try. That's what we've been looking into. We'll go back now to Entangle and head on out into Dry-Top once more for episode 2. Now, episode 2 is kind of funny. Dry-Top initially released with what you see and what we've done on the series so far. But when episode 2 came out, the map got bigger. We're not going to a new map entirely this episode, but we are going to new areas of the new map, right? So basically, here, we'll see as we explore. The map has grown, and there'll be new segments we can go to. Do you remember how I told you there are various tiers of the map, like tier 4 we're on right now? When the map first came out, it was a small section, there weren't that many events, and so you could only push it to like tier 3 or something. And now we can go up to tier 4 because new areas of Dry-Top have become available. That's a huge ass Drake up there. Did you see that? Just crawling around over there? That's unbelievable. Alright, so yeah, enough preamble. That's it. We're now ready for entanglement. It looks like we got a male. So we're going to meet back in Prosperity here, as you can see. And it's from Bram this time, not E. E has become a silent watcher once again, I suppose. He says, word reached me of some trouble in Dry-Top. Prosperity was just attacked. I'm heading there to check on Timey. Let's meet up and see if the kid's okay. Wolf guide you. I love that he said wolf guide me. Dude, you're a legend. I probably should have read this before I moved over, but hey, there you go. Also, we have the mail from before. Congratulations on completing the episode. You've unlocked additional story stuff. It's all the information I've already really given you. So there you have it. All right, Bram, I'm coming, buddy. Man, it feels good to be messaged by my Norn. I wonder if it was a human, Marjorie would have spoken to me. I'm not sure. But yeah, we're Wolf brothers, right? Let's see. My story. We're Wolf. Ulfric's Wolf, Bram's Wolf. Very family-oriented. So me and Bram are just going to be bros forever, pretty much. He can send me all the mails and encourage me to get around. He'll defend me. I'll defend him. All right, Scarlett's secret room. We're going back. But don't worry, it's not just a whole episode of lore here. There is an adventure to go on. What did you find, Timey?
Timey? Timey, are you here? Timey?
I'm here. I'm okay. Scruffy protected me. Are you all okay?
Oh, whew. Yeah, we're okay too.
Everything started to shake. I barely had time to get into Scruffy.
Is she okay, Bram?
Yeah, she's okay. She hid in her golem.
I didn't hide. I was collecting important data.
Uh-huh.
Hid from what, though? I don't get it. What do you mean? Did she trigger a trap?
Did I hear you say Timey's okay?
I'm fine. Collie.
What's happening?
Golly? Like, come on. Golly? Golly is not a word. Well, golly, gosh darn, everybody. Welcome to my new YouTube video. Like, it's such a weird word. I don't know. It doesn't feel Guild Wars to me at all. But the golly gosh cute little timey has everybody bending over here. So, hey, Marjorie. I feel like the whole world is falling out from under us. At least Marjorie's cool and sultry and edgy. That's the way I like it. And, I mean, you got to credit them. They've given the two different characters, right? I think we all feel that way. We've got a new dragon to contend with. Nothing will ever be the same. No, it won't. Morgemoth did this, and it's only just starting.
Morgemoth? Raises the stakes to a whole new level of awful, doesn't it?
Gods, we need a plan. What are we gonna do?
Right. Morgemoth. I probably should have stopped a second ago, but it's good that we get Casimir's reaction. I just said Morgemoth to Marjorie. Sorry, what? What is that word? And Marjorie responded as though she knew exactly what I was talking about. And Casimir responded as though she knew exactly what I was talking about. What are you talking about? So, this is some of the shoddiest writing in the season. And it's kind of a hurdle that the devs have to get over here and then they move on. This is still just annoying stuff segueing out of Season 1. Where so much of the story was delivered through, like, outside the game things. So, hopefully you guys have seen my dungeon series, which took place after the events of the core story and dealt with all the explorable mode dungeons. In one of those videos, which I'll recap now for you if you missed it, at the Crucible of Eternity, there was a really bizarre, cool Easter egg, like a conspiracy theory, that if you were really paying attention, you could take note of. Now, I do recommend you guys see the video for the full story. The Crucible of Eternity was a complex from the Asura where they were merging the powers of various dragon energies and messing with dragon energies. They created, in explorable mode, a creature called Subject Alpha that would attack you with the strength of various Elder Dragon abilities. So he might conjure a big fiery attack on you, and if you get hit with it and you looked in your combat log, the damage was listed as being from a skill called the Tooth of Primordus, right? Primordus being the fiery Elder Dragon, Subject Alpha attacks you with a fiery thing, and it's called the Tooth of Primordus. So the idea is there's all these Elder Dragon energies mixed up in this Subject Alpha, and you can see references to Jormag in there and all the various Elder Dragons if you're getting attacked with his stuff. That's what his skills are. They're not player skills. The only way to know the name of those skills that Subject Alpha's using is the combat log. And very few players would ever really look at that. But if you looked really carefully, sometimes this creature would use planty abilities on you, earthy abilities. And if you looked in the combat log, there was a skill called the Tooth of Morgemoth. So, therefore, the theory was, hold on, way back, right before any of Season 1, before any Scarlett, before South Sun Cove, before the Consortium, before anything, there was immediately the idea, if you were nerdy enough, hold on, what if there's another Elder Dragon? What if there's a sixth Elder Dragon? A planty Elder Dragon that would explain the planty tendrils that we're now seeing rise up. That would explain what I opened at the end of Season 1. And yeah, one of my earlier videos after the game came out was talking about that conspiracy theory. I did a big recap on it when we did the dungeons. And it got to the point where everyone kind of knew when Season 1 ended and that eye opened that a new Elder Dragon was on the table. That it was a sixth one. And it was probably of plant. And we all knew at this point, generally, that it was going to be called Morgemoth because of that combat log thing. So that's where the community was. People weren't really hiding from it anymore. None of the characters in-game knew, though. So you do get this weird moment where all of a sudden all the characters know the word Morgemoth. It's messy, it's sloppy. The devs had some really awkward questions to answer on their streams and stuff when this episode came out. And we just have to get over the hurdle. That's the story. We know that it's Morgemoth, I'm going to say, because we were in the dungeon. Marjorie and Casimir weren't, but maybe off-screen at some point. You know, the 2 weeks between the previous story stuff and the stuff now. Maybe we talked about it. You know, we've had these theories just like the community's had these theories. Maybe we chatted about it at the Dead End Bar at the end of Season 1. And here we are now. Morgemoth is a word that will appear a ton now, unflinchingly. That is the Elder Dragon that has awoken. Will we be able to defeat it? Will we even try to fight it as the next dragon? Well, who knows? That's all to be found out. But that's what it is. And also, you'll notice the devs already started doing this a bit messily last patch. Last patch, we found a bunch of what in this town? Mordrem. Mordrem. The creatures of Morgemoth. Just as the Risen are creatures of Zaitan. And so that's why they're called Mordrem. The tendrils aren't. Because they're, you know, I don't know. They should have probably named them Mordrum tendrils right from the start, maybe. Or everything should have had a mysterious name. I don't know. It was just a bit messy, but there you have it. All right, I'm done talking about that a little bit. You're now filled in. Another chapter of the history of Guild Wars 2 that players would generally miss. I'm glad to fill in for you guys here. So, Casimir says, you really think all these vines are related to Mordremoth? All these deaths? I'm quite certain. What are we going to do? Well, we start by following Scarlett's trail. Scarlett believed she'd seen the bigger picture. It was a part of her delusion. I don't think bringing down the Zephyrite was part of Scarlett's plan, but both she and the Saboteur talked about the destruction of Tyria. I know. Erin said a Tyrian leader would die. This makes me think someone or something was pulling his strings. That scares me the most about him. Okay, so there's the idea that he's not alone, that someone has a big grand plan out there. And obviously, we do want to be thinking about the Sylvari now. They are plants, and we are dealing with a planty elder dragon, it seems. Trouble is, we have no idea who he meant. It could be anyone, though the biggest threat to Mordremoth is probably Trahan. I hate the thought that Queen Jenna could be in danger too. Yeah, as a human, I'm sure you do. So yeah, Trahan. Trahan will be a part of the story. He was a big part of Core, then kind of went away a lot in Season 1. He comes back in a big way here. And obviously he's important. He's the leader of the Pact, the biggest dragon-killing force on the planet. We just haven't interacted with him much lately. But yeah, assassinating Trahan would definitely be a big idea. Is he a world leader? I'm not sure about that. He said several other strange things too. Yeah, like, it will be so pleased, and I've seen the bigger picture. He sounded so much like Scarlett. It was unnerving. I suspect we can still learn from Scarlett, even posthumously. I suspect too. I mean, we did last episode, really, if you think about it. Hey, Timey. For the record, I agree that this is Mordremoth's doing. It all started with Scarlett. We need to understand her. Did you see her voice recorder? Her books and papers? I'm just glad you're okay. What have we learned here? Lots of things. Like, Scarlett started with steam creatures, then graduated to Aether and watchwork. She released a bunch of the steam creatures into the wild. Oh, and she killed Omad. Killed Omad? He was her last mentor. He experimented on her with his mind-widening device, and that's when she saw the eternal alchemy, or what she thought it was, and maybe that's what she drew on this picture here on the right, guys. She killed him for it? No, she killed him because once he realized his device worked, he started looking at her like she was a lab rat, not like an assistant or a student. He was going to experiment more on her. I don't agree with Timey at all here. We had, before she even went in the machine, holographic evidence that she didn't like Omad, and she was puppeting Omad, not the other way around. Omad was taking a fondness to her. We say, I see, but surely Omad wouldn't have hurt her. Historically speaking, previous generations of Asura, including Omad's, viewed the Sylvari as an anomaly to be studied. When the first Sylvari arrived, many were victimized in the interests of arcane knowledge. We do know this backstory. The season will go into it a little bit more. Do you have any new insight into that drawing on the wall? Actually, I do. Based on Scarlett's writings and a holographic recorder over there, I've come up with a theory. I think that that's the representation of her vision. Yeah, Timey thinks the same thing. Her mentor, Omad, made a device that opened the mind. When she tried it, she had a vision. At the center is a symbol I've seen used to represent the pale tree. Okay. And you think she drew that drawing after seeing this? Yes. She claimed she had seen the eternal alchemy during the vision. The symmetrical elements in the drawing and the pale tree at the center lead me to that conclusion. Why the pale tree at the center? In her vision, she saw the pale tree attacked by a thorn vine. She described it as doing terrible damage to the tree. That sounds terrible. Timey didn't really answer the question. We ask, why is the pale tree at the center of a vision of the eternal alchemy? The eternal alchemy is everything. Why is a pale tree at the center? Timey just like dodges it. She says, oh, she saw a vine attack it. Well, did it bother her? It pleased her. She liked seeing the vine attacking it. She even grew some thorny vines to strangle Omad. The parallel with the vines from her vision is not lost on me. What about ley lines? Well, hold on. Then before we move on from this, I want to add that there's a question to ask now. Is the pale tree and are the Sylvari the center of everything? Or is it that Scarlett is a Sylvari and the fact she's a Sylvari has clouded her judgment, and she's obsessed with the tree for some unknown reason? I mean, just because she's a Sylvari, or because something else is going on that cares a lot about the pale tree? Is that it? Like, or is the pale tree genuinely really important? I guess we don't know. What about ley lines? You learned anything new? The most interesting thing of all, Scarlett theorized that our waypoint positioning coincides with the locations of the most powerful ley lines. Was she right? Likely, but not yet confirmed. I need to do more research. I need to better understand the elements that drew her to that conclusion. Fascinating.
So, were you able to figure out what Scarlett was doing here?
She was studying ley lines, but I don't...
Hold on.
Oh my! happening?
Canterbury's contribution is very poor.
Hey, come look at this. There's a passage behind this bookshelf.
What? Get out of my way. Let me see.
Settle down. Let the boss go in first.
All right, but hurry up.
Come on, Frostbite, let's go.
To be honest, guys, I thought that the way this was gonna go was that Timey had found this secret door. I didn't realize it just happened to appear here. But yeah, there is a secret passage here. Funny thing, last episode, you could sneak your camera and look and see that there was a hole back there, but it wasn't a part of the game yet, so you weren't allowed to go there. They did hint at it, though, last episode. Pretty nice. So, yeah, let's move on down. Now, that whole thing about waypoints. If there's ley lines under all the waypoints, or, like, somewhat ley line tendrils, is that significant in some way? All right. Yeah, I guess we'll just go down. There's nothing new to interact with. And, well, we found a mine. So, this isn't really connected to the previous mine we were in, just to be clear. But there is a chance that this is the one where the ley line hub was, right? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. We get lots of things to explore for this tunnel. First, I guess I'll just come into this room. I'm constantly worried that the NPCs who are taking their time to meander around might start speaking. But I think they're just exploring like us. I love seeing the whole party just spread out and go off and do their own thing. They're all just wandering around. So, yeah, lots of Asuran stuff. Feels very Chiari. Now, you remember last time we did hear that she spent weeks at a time in the house. Now, I think you're supposed to think at the time that she's just a shut-in. But the truth is, there's a secret passage back there. And she's got all this going on. So, we got a book. On the open page of this book, Scarlett drew a route leading up and out of her tunnel to a higher region of Drytop. Examine it. The points on Scarlett's map trace a path winding across the higher region of Drytop to some unknown destination, where she drew crisscrossing lightning bolts. So, she spoke to Tosca the Norn, found out that there was a hub, and now she's drawn on a map where it was. You'd think Ulfric would pay attention to that, but hey. Here we got another book, A History of Drytop by Nicholas Sanford of 1070 AE. 1070 AE, guys. Guess what? We're back in Guild Wars 1 times. Nicholas Sanford was like a weekly mechanic in that game. You can go back and check out my videos there. You met him right at the start of the story in Pre-Searing, and then he sort of starts traveling around the world. You can trade him items. He's a big fan favorite character, dead for 250 years now. Long gone, but he was an explorer, and he explored Drytop indeed. So he says, now a barren landscape. This rounded basin may have held water many millennia ago. Sand now covers everything, blowing on the wind and eroding all, rocks and inhabitants alike. Yeah, so you got to remember, this whole place like got desertified. So if there's an Elder Dragon of plant here, is it possible that the Elder Dragon did it? Or when the Elder Dragon left, it then desertified? And now that the Elder Dragon's eye opened, tendrils are appearing and spreading vegetation back. I mean, pretty malicious, malignant vegetation, but nonetheless. It's a cool thing that I've always liked thinking about with the Maguma region. The idea that maybe whether it's barren or not has very much to do with this Morgemoth dragon. Sand now covers everything blown on the wind. Unknown sentient beings once built fragile hillside homes high on the cliffsides. Some structures still linger, but also will fall victim to the blowing sand and hot sun. And you could catch glimpses of that actually in Guild Wars 1. Was it the druids that were humans that escaped into this region of the world a long time ago? Well, we're not quite that far in, you know, geographically, I think, to where the druids went. And the druids are obviously not the only sentient creatures. Read on. This area attracts outlaws on the run with something to hide, or those who are unwelcome among civilized folk for one reason or another. This makes the area dangerous to travelers such as me and Yakington, who are not outlaws. Migrating centaur packs come through here, it seems. There's evidence that they once had a refuge here. A large tree trunk, quite out of place, could have once been one of their sacred trees. Now, again in Guild Wars 1, we hear about the ancestor trees, big sacred trees to the centaurs. And that's Nightfall lore. That's actually nowhere near here. That's way down south in Alona. But I wonder if the reader net were sort of looking at that there. Despite appearances, this waterless area is far from lifeless, and it serves as the doorway into the Maguma jungle, a region of uncontrollable growth, life, and often death. Doesn't that sound like there's some magic craziness going there, like an Elder Dragon? We can leave. I love this book, guys. Look at all the detail they give us. In the original game, when you went to a new area, you could, like, click it on the world map, and instead of just being saying, do you want to teleport, it had, like, flavor text. It had, like, lore there that you could read. In Guild Wars 2, there's so many teleport locations, so many waypoints, that they never added lore to all of them, so you miss out on that. I feel like this book is kind of, like, giving us that region lore back. It's really cool. Sadly, the devs don't do it much. I think they could have, everywhere new we go, we could have heard Nicholas Sanford talk about it in an old diary or something. But you don't hear from Nicholas much. Just some extra reading in this one area. What else we got? We got a pamphlet or something stuck to the wall here. It was torn from a book. Letters sent home from soldiers in the Cornan army have given us great insight into their lives. In the 11th century after the Exodus, their leader Varesh Ossa inspired great loyalty. In one particular speech, Ossa praised her military and encouraged them to use their persuasive abilities to build the power of Corna from the inside. She said, if properly convinced, you can get a whole group of lesser creatures to work towards your goals without them realizing they're not working for themselves. Ossa cites the alliance between centaurs and Cornan craftspeople as an example. Together, they produce better armor and weapons, and they provided for the Cornan people's day-to-day needs. So, again, that's some Guild Wars 1 story. Varesh Ossa is like the great antagonist, or one of the great antagonists of the Nightfall campaign. What I find really cool here is one of the big antagonists for Season 1 was Scarlett. And the devs are basically saying, look, Scarlett learned lessons from one of the villains of the past, right? Because obviously Scarlett built all these alliances, the Molten Alliance and the Toxic Alliance, the Aetherblade Alliance. It's funny because Varesh was getting what she considered lesser races to work together. Scarlett was doing it with, like, Char, right? Like, Flame Legion. The Flame Legion aren't stupid, all right? And, like, the Asura, the Inquest being manipulated to work alongside freaking pirates. And Scarlett managed to make it happen. I mean, she's very, very up there, you know. If you really look at the facts of what the devs said this one Sylvari was able to do. So maybe we take her seriously when we see these images of the pale tree at the center of the universe. Maybe she's right. It is. Maybe everything is to do with that pale tree. This notebook, titled Research Notes, has a complex set of equations, drawings, and engineering blueprints. And there we go. So we just learned a little bit more about Scarlett. That's actually 2 instances back to back that they just bomb us with info. Did you find something? You found something, didn't you? I guess I lied. There is a ton of information here, really. Scarlett left a map showing that she headed someplace to the southwest. I bet it leads to the ley line she discovered. You stay here with the others for now. I'm going to see where this takes me. So, we finished the instance, and we will leave now. So, what do we get? Okay, there's a new type of box here. These are Mordrum seed pouches. These are basically going to be related to the enemies we're fighting. So, let's open these up. So, you get planty stuff. We get a new type of trash there. Probably like the barbs or something. We get these thorny seed pouches. A Tampa Champ bag associated with planty creatures. We can deposit that stuff and dip on out here. So, back in regular dry top, we will now still be in the tunnel, you see, which is pretty cool. And if you re-explore, you'll see there's spiders around, there's mining opportunities. A lot of the things we interacted with in the instance are still here also. Like this one here, right? It says the same thing, so we don't have to go through that again. All right, so here, check it out. Now that we're playing the Condi build on a short bow, we change things up a bit. Short bow, basically, if you've forgotten, is a weapon that really wants you to be flanking. You want to be hitting enemies from behind, right? Like, Crossfire will double bleed if it's behind. This will do extra poison if it's from behind. This won't just daze, it will stun if it's from behind. So you really want to be from behind. This won't just cripple, it will immob if it's from behind. And luckily, as a ranger, we can kind of accomplish all of that with our pets. I don't think we interacted with this workbench. It seems like Scarlett used this area to assemble a variety of different objects. Her tools could be used to assemble some of your own. I have nothing I need to create with these tools. I think this is some part of legendary creation or something later, probably. Not really a part of the story. You'll notice it wasn't a part of the instance. We're just to give ourselves swiftness. Shortbow is a speedy, move-oriented weapon. Nowadays with Guild Wars and the power creep, even longbow feels very like you move a lot with it. There's only one skill really that locks you in place. So the distinction between the two isn't so good. I think a lot of people favor longbow and power pressure really. But I still like shortbow. And obviously we get our traits and things that build these up. The only downside is we don't have much condition damage gear, but the bow itself has that, so that's nice. Another Steam Minotaur head. The head of a Steam Minotaur lies abandoned on a workbench where Scarlett appears to have been repairing it. And then she just gave up with it eventually. And I love this little moment right here as we travel through. I can't tell you guys how excited I was to go to new places. I think Living World Season 2 did something really good with that sense of new exploration. Like, we're coming through a cave. We have no idea we're going to come out. We know that Dry Top is getting bigger. But what will it look like as we come through? And sort of you clamber on out. It's dark. I mean, the scale feels really weird because we have such a big Norn. All these places feel way more claustrophobic than they would if we were, say, on an Asura or a Sylvari or a particularly small human. One of Scarlett's abandoned Steam minions remains where it ceased functioning while on its way out of her lab. This is interesting. They talk so much about the Steam creatures here. They're not really. Just a minor spoiler here. The Steam creatures aren't really that relevant to the story, to be honest. So don't get too obsessed with them. I think the devs are just trying to tie up that loose end. And as we walk through, Check it out. They even give us a cutscene. Just a nice little quick flyby showing the new area we've come to. Now, remember, when this episode started, what did we hear about someone standing on an overlook looking down at us? Now, I believe in the original episode, if you stood at Prosperity and looked up at this cliff that we're now climbing up here, you could see a mysterious stranger up there looking at you, just like its silhouette, and it was the silhouette of a centaur. And, well, that flyby just revealed there are more centaurs here, including this guy, Neri Freemain. We've got a sandstorm is about to blow away here.
Be well.
And they're going to talk to us a lot about what's going on with the Zephyrite and hopefully help us. We got a new scout. But basically, in another new map now, guys. We're going to have a bunch of new stuff. This is a really cool place. There's a beautiful oasis. Lots of fun things to see. But I guess we'll leave it for there. Ulfric will wait for the sandstorm to blow over. And I'll be back next time as we continue our adventures into Episode 2, discovering Scarlett's breakthrough. Thanks very much, guys. I'll see you there.